welcome back. Are you guys still with me? Like my eyes are getting lower and lower and lower, but we're still going. We still got amazing people coming up. And one of the most amazing people are coming up next. Dr. Natalie is here. We're going to talk about technology. She's an author, so much stuff. Dr. Natalie, are you out there?
I am. Hi, how you doing?
I am great. How are you?
Fantastic. Happy International Women's Day.
Happy International Women's Day. Before we dig into your profile, which, oh my goodness, when do you have the time? Your profile. What does International Women's Day mean to you personally?
I think it's the celebration of amazing people on the planet who are really motivated to see change in the world and just a recognition of their accomplishments, who they are as people, who they are as human beings, and the things that they stand for and the future that we all want to leave as a legacy. I think, if we could just gather all these women up into one little spot, which would be nearly impossible, and you're doing an amazing job today with
Oh, thank you.
gathering all together virtually. I really think that we need to think about that. The idea, if we had us all in a room, what could we accomplish and how much could we really change? And maybe it's forums like this that are going to be the way that we create that change. Because I think a lot of times women feel, we're by ourselves and we're kind of pushing the boulder up the hill. But I really think if we stand, side by side, hand in hand together, we could really make a difference,
Yeah,
especially in some of the things that we've seen in the world lately. The time is now.
the time is now. It definitely is now. And I totally agree with you. You know, you're a very, my dad used to say, I march to a different drummer or a whole band. You march to your own band as well because you're literally in both sides of the world. You're an entrepreneur, author on one side, and you're an executive and a CEO on another side. How do you balance out those two worlds? Because that's kind of yin and yang right there.
It is. I got lucky in the position that I have right now because I kind of get to be the best of me, which is contributing to a company, helping them transform technology. Because at the end of the day, you look at like how are we doing this today, right?
Mm-hmm.
Technology, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's this
Mm-hmm. Yes,
underlying
ma'am.
thing since the beginning of time. You can think about fire and flint as the beginning of technology. If you take a look at the book, we actually look at from the beginning of time how technology every single century changes our lives. And I think, I got this opportunity to, help a company transform the way customers and employees are treated and the technology underlying that. And then the opportunity, the agency to be able to take the things that I am so passionate about and really cognate all of that and put it into one place, which ended up being, it manifested as a book, and now it's manifesting as speaking, and just all kinds of things are coming about. So um, I
That's
think,
amazing.
it's kind of like getting really clear in your mind about what you want, and
Mm-hmm.
then when the opportunity presents itself, be ready to step into it.
You know, we keep talking about the company. Is it okay if I go ahead and say the company name so
Oh
people
yeah,
know?
yeah,
That's fine.
sure.
You know, you're CEO of Genesis, and I'm a
No, no,
techie.
no. I'm not CEO. Tony Bates is the CEO.
So, so your title is
I am an executive, let's call me Chief Empathy Officer.
Chief Empathy Officer. See, I can't say empathy very well. Chief Empathy Officer. But Genesis is amazing. I'm a tech geek. I program in 17 languages. When I'm not doing this, if you could see this room, there's computers all around me, and I get lost in technology. So meeting another woman that's in tech is just awesome because when I was in school
Thank you.
back in the day, it was me and yeah, me. It was
Yeah,
the
me and
rest
me.
was all guys. You
Yeah.
know, what made you decide to go into technology?
My dad took me to work. My dad was an engineer, and he kind of said, "Be a
Ah,
doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer, or don't come home." So, as the oldest kid, you kind of like go through that, "Oh, I want to please my dad" phase. And he took me to work, and I went to the laboratory, and I was looking at metal because it was a Ford Motor Company at the time, and it was just really cool because I got to see with a high electron microscope the ability to look at the structure of materials. and to really like see at an atomic level how they're structured. And then
Wow.
I got to think about, well, why is a tire and why is a bumper a bumper? Well, it's the properties that go behind that and the molecular bonds. And anyways, what I just found it fascinating. And so I thought, what about going into a field where I could actually change the physics of materials? And that was kind
Wow.
of like the beginning of my ability to look at transformation and change.
Wow. So you sit there and you go, okay, because I've done that. I don't know how many times. I didn't go in that direction, but I've wondered how things are made and what exactly is inside, and you actually know what's in there. That's awesome. I got to tell you. But there are women out there that are watching this right now, or young women that maybe they're in high school, right now, that would love to do technology. They want to be a programmer. They want to be a scientist. They want to be an engineer. What would you tell them in 2022? Has it changed? Is it better? Or they have the same fight that I had and maybe you had?
I think there's a lot more women in fields like technology than there have ever been before. I would say that, it's really important your foundational years to pay attention to math,
Mhm.
to science, right? To really get that foundation and get that confidence and find other girls or other guys that you can hang out with that have the same passion. I really think that part of the struggle that I found was I felt isolated because there just
Mhm.
weren't a lot of people that I felt comfortable hanging with. And I think, as a tech person, sometimes you're a bit of an introvert. And so finding other people to hang with who have common interests is really, really important because it's tough stuff, right? Thermodynamics, physics, like all that stuff. It's not an easy path. But what I can say is, even if, let's say, you did all that basic groundwork in high school or college, even if,
Mhm.
like, I've transitioned, so I'm in management now, right? But when I was coming up, I did engineering, but then I found, you know what? I'm a people person. I really like people and I want to empower people and I want to change how we interact. And so just because you start there doesn't mean that's where you're going to end up. And I think that's kind of the curiosity of life, is really looking at, you pick a direction, it really supports you, it gives you the foundation
Mhm.
to think. Like, I think what I learned in engineering school was critical thinking skills, which have served me so well no matter what I'm doing. And so I think it's just really, pay attention in school. I know it kind of sounds like I'm preaching, but pay attention in school, do your homework, read, listen to podcasts, listen to master's classes, and do, so when I was in college, I would do engineering by day, and then
Uh-huh.
I'd go across the street at the University of Michigan and I would throw on the potter's wheel. And so that gave my right brain and my left brain stimulation. And I think that's really, that mix is what really gives you the ability to articulate your passion and to connect that right and left brain. So whether you went down the arts or whether you went down the science, or when if you combine them, I think it's that combination that really makes a great way
So
to see the world.
a lot of people have, passion and drive, and they have this dream and they want to do it so bad, but they're so afraid of change. They're like,
Mhm.
oh, they are terrified of change. Why do you think change is so hard?
Well, there's a little tiny piece in your brain called the amygdala, and it responds to fight or flight. So it looks at a situation, it says, oh, does that look like a lion, a tiger, or a bear? And sometimes our perception is not reality, and we think it is, right? And so one of the things I think is really important is learning how to identify your triggers. Because when you get triggered, when something triggers you, then all of a sudden you see reality in a different way because you're thinking from that primordial brain. And to be
Hmm.
able to learn to recognize that trigger and then ask yourself, in this moment, am I okay? And the answer is yes. And then in the next second, you say, am I okay? And the answer is yes. And then you realize that it's not as scary as you thought it was. And then have a plan B to kind of kick in those other parts of the brain that can do reasoning and problem solving. And, a lot of people don't talk about anxiety. They don't talk about the reality of what does it take to really be successful. And the truth is, It's scary. It's
Mhm.
not easy. And I think that it's really important to talk about the emotional and mental aspects of what it takes to be successful.
You have so much going on in your life. You could fill up every day, every hour, I'm sure. Every
Yes.
moment could be full. What made you decide to also write a book, to be an author?
Well, when I met Tony, we had this shared passion about empathy and the ability to really transform the customer and the employee experience. And it such a seems like a little slice of life, but when you think about it, all of us are employees, right? We work somewhere, we work for someone, we work for ourselves. We are somehow generating in the world. And so what's really important is to really look at how are employees being treated? And we can see what's happened with the great resignation during COVID. I think it was this
Mhm.
point in time where everybody went on pause or kind of on pause. And then we went, oh my gosh, is this what I want for my life? And if it's not, people said, I'm out of here. And then you look at the customer experience. We're all customers. We all buy, we shop, we return things. What is that experience? And when you talk to companies, they'll say, oh, yeah, we're a great company. We won these awards. We treat our customers great. But if you ask employees and customers, they're going to tell you something completely different. And so I just thought, and what we were really looking at is what if, and this is where empathy comes in. Empathy means sitting in the seat of someone else and seeing the world from their point of view and then
Okay.
taking action. So it's not sympathy. It's not like, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. It's actually sitting in the seat of that other person and seeing their perception of reality and then saying, got it. Okay, what can I do? Right. And so I thought, what if what if I could change that? Right. And so, what we're really aiming to do is to create a customer and employee respect movement in the book and really look at when you change those things. What we realized is everything changes. Everything you do, every decision you make. And I've had these discussions with a lot of companies, leaders, and they're like, yeah, but we really got to worry about revenue. We got to worry about, being running a successful company. And I said, okay, if you have no employees, then there's nobody to create your products or services. And if you have no customers, there's nobody to buy them. So, what are your two
Mhm.
most important assets? Employees and customers. And yet, I have failed to see a CFO that can say either one of them are on the balance sheet. So
Ooh.
we're not valuing the two most important assets. And when you change that employee experience, it changes everything about the company. Inclusion, diversity, teaming, productivity, innovation. And now you have a great company, right? And now you can create great products. And now you can go and you're naturally going to start to garner the most amazing customers who are going to be completely loyal. Well, guess what? You don't have attrition costs. You can keep the best talent. You can attract the best talent. And now you have customers who are with you for a lifetime. As a brand, you can't want anything more. So what I'm trying to tell people out there is when you change the customer and employee experience, your company will be more successful. It is that simple.
Wow. You see, we need more time. Yeah,
Okay,
we need
I can
more
talk to you
time.
forever.
I hope you'll come back on because we need more time. We're just touching on the tip of the information people need because I've never heard anyone that's in corporate America, and you split your life between both sides, but in corporate America that even speaks about that. It's about the balance sheet, what you just said. That's all it's about. It's amazing. Okay, I hope you'll come back. We'll do a full interview. I think you're amazing. I'm so glad I got to meet you. Wow,
Thank
just
you.
wow.
You're amazing too, and thank you for the opportunity to share this amazing day. And I just feel really blessed that I got to meet you. Thank you.
And I feel blessed that I got to meet you as well. I can't wait till we have our next conversation. I thank you, Dr. Natalie, for just spending a few minutes with us. I hope you have a great
Woo!
rest of your International Women's Day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.